Don't worry, Despermantis. I will make sure I get all the proper information possible. So don't worry. Nobody's going to be delayed any longer. So I hope you're doing well today. And everybody, I'll say my quick hellos and we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of everything. How are y'all doing today? I see Miguel is here. I see Snipe Hunter is here. That's great. That's great. Let's see who else we have here. We have Around the World D and Friends. Great seeing you here as well. So, how are y'all doing? Happy St. Patrick's Day to each and every one of you. I am wearing a green sweater, by the way, but you can't tell with the multiple lighting that I'm using. Trying to kind of work with the effects here. So anyhow, I hope every one of y'all are doing well, and I want to talk about what's on my mind, because Ben Shapiro, you can rely on Ben Shapiro to be wrong about everything. I mean, he's wrong on every economic issue. He's wrong on every foreign policy issue. He's wrong on every culture war issue, you name it. And for some reason, he gets a following because he's fooled people into thinking that he's a 14-year-old when the man is 40. And just because you can talk 100 miles an hour does not make you smart. I mean, and who in the hell will want to look up to Ben Shapiro and be like, I want to be like that motherfucker? I
I don't believe in bullying kids in school, but someone like Ben Shapiro, he would have had it coming to him in high school. So and I'm the kind of person that's against bullying, saying that. So there you have it. Well, what in the world did Ben Shapiro said that's gotten my dandruff up right now, and that everybody else is talking about the moment? No, it's not. It's not that they think that Republicans are good and Democrats are bad. I mean, or what else? What's the other thing that that LGBTQ people are too uppity? I mean, we expect that from Ben Shapiro, or that war is a good thing. Because Ben Shapiro loves bombing, seeing countries getting bombed. Just yeah, it's just he's just a horrible piece of work is what he is. So he basically is opposed to retirement. That's what I want to talk about. So we're going to play some Ben Shapiro for you. Forgive me for subjecting you to this, but I just feel like politically abusing this little piece of shit that they call Ben Shapiro. So we will get started right now with this. I said something unsayable. Motherfucker, you asked for it. As soon as he starts talking. Okay. Anytime now. I'm sorry, my computer's it's a little persnickety today. Come on. It'll eventually happen. I'm sorry about my computer being sluggish. There we go. Come on. Don't be shy, Ben. We're ready for you. When you see that little circle, it means that we're about ready to make progress, folks. So in the meantime, as I said, he's been basically preaching this. You should drop to your dead and work and have he believes that the economy that people were made to serve the economy, not that the economy was served for the people. That's exactly what he believes in. And Ben Shapiro's taking his time. Maybe he knows this. I'm about ready to own his ass. So come on. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. I was supposed to start streaming a few minutes ago. So I'm so sorry about this. Come on. Come on. If not, I'm going to improvise. I'm going to improvise. Okay, I'm going to improvise right now. Ben Shapiro claims he doesn't. He thinks that retirement at 65 is too unreasonable. It's basically what he's saying. He essentially believes that, and I am going to do something here real quick to make sure we get a video. Yeah, as I said, he believes that 65, the idea of retiring at 65 is considered unreasonable. So and that that people should be able to work until basically they die is basically what he's been saying. And he doesn't believe in Social Security. He doesn't believe in Medicare or these entitlements that are non-controversial, that pretty much is generally accepted by most people. And so he essentially thinks that we should get rid of the ideas of retirement altogether. Now, for those that claim that the Republican Party is somehow pro workers and the Democratic Party is full of rich people, well, they're half correct. The Democratic Party is filled with rich people. I'm not going to deny that, and that's largely part of the problem with the Democratic Party. But also, what's problematic is this notion that the Republicans are the party of the working man. Well, it's true that maybe some working people may may support the party, but you can't really be pro working class if you're fighting tooth and nail over legislation that's supposed to represent workers and make their lives better. And that's what it comes right down to. And he essentially is the mindset that you should basically work to the day you die. So hold on a second here. I got it on pause. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get started now. Come on. And the name of the video is Uh-oh, I Said Something Unsayable. And he did. And boy, did he do it. Come on, Ben. But this is the thing about it, is this whole Reaganomics bullshit that he's been preaching all these years. And this whole idea that you should work till you die is just an abomination. It really is. So I'm trying to get this thing started. And
security system. This is considered the third rail of politics. And as I said in the show yesterday, Donald Trump hasn't touched it. He's the first Republican in a long time to have basically said the entitlements are off the table. We're not going to do anything about them. And I've said before, that's a smart political move. But smart political moves aren't necessarily good for the country. Both parties now argue that we can't touch social.
Okay, I got something to say about that. It is true that Donald Trump said that Social Security and Medicare was off the table. And yeah, he's the first Republican to say that in a very long time. This is why Ben Shapiro did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. One of the many reasons. He was a never Trumper. The thing about never Trumpers is that people think a never Trumper is a moderate rhino Republican. Some never Trumpers are. Some never Trumpers hate Trump because they think he's not right-wing enough. And the worst kind of people that exist are the people who were never Trumpers in 2016, but they basically had their tongue up Donald Trump's ass in 2020 because he done some pretty damn horrible right-wing policies while he was president. So knowing the kind of person Ben Shapiro is, you probably know what some of these policy areas are. And he still probably doesn't think Trump is conservative enough, which is the sad part about it. So
Social Security. We can't touch Medicare. We can't touch Medicaid. The entitlement programs basically have to stay. The problem with that is that, of course, they're all going to go bankrupt. So politicians obviously have an incentive to keep kicking the can down the road and pretending that we have unlimited borrowing power and limited money to pay for a balloon.
Okay, let me say something about that. Okay. Social Security and Medicare have a funding problem, and they run across some borrowed times. Doesn't have to be that way. It's priorities. It's priorities. And in some ways, Social Security is not as much trouble people claim it is. But Ben Shapiro wants you to think of this. And what could make Social Security and Medicare solvent? Well, for starters, I don't like the way it's handled. Social Security for retirees and Medicare for retirees. What about Social Security for everybody? A universal basic income. What about taking the Medicare system and Medicaid system and just kind of combining it and make it available to everybody? At a minimum, make a single payer system for everybody. Medicare for all, Social Security for all. Ben Shapiro hates that idea, but it's the idea that should be. And he does not like the fact that Social Security, people getting Social Security when they have maybe 20 years of what he considered good life where they could just sit there and convalesce. The Social Security age should be dropped down to 55. You should get your full Social Security. I want Ben Shapiro to know where I stand. You should get your full Social Security at 55.
Ballooning public.
Come on. Come on, Ben.
Social Security. We can't touch Medicare. We can't touch Medicaid. The entitlement programs basically have to stay. The problem with that is that, of course, they're all going to go bankrupt. So politicians obviously have an incentive to keep kicking the can down the road and pretending that we have unlimited borrowing power and limited money to pay for a ballooning public debt. That, of course, is their incentive structure. But I'm not running for office, so I can tell you the truth, which is that if we don't raise the retirement age or privatize Social Security over time or make any changes to Social Security, we will go insolvent. Social Security is not, in fact, a lockbox. I saw a lot of tweets yesterday from people saying, I paid into Social Security. I'm just taking out what I got in. No, you're not. You absolutely are not. The government stole your money and paid it to somebody else. And now they're stealing somebody.
Fuck you, Ben. Fuck you. It's not stealing. Now, as far as stealing is concerned, I think that worthless assholes who are wealthy like you, I think that they should go and soak the hell out of you in taxes. And I would love to see it so that a lot of your wealth is extracted, Ben Shapiro. I would love to see your wealth extracted drastically. You and all the others. I don't care what political party you belong to, but it gives me satisfaction to see just a repugnant piece of shit like you having all that money stripped away from you. Come on.
Somebody else's money and paying it to you. And I promise you that whatever you paid in is certainly not what you're getting out. You're either getting out way less. In my case, you're getting way less in Social Security, if ever you receive it, than you paid in.
Not true.
And in many cases, you're receiving far more. So my grandmother, for example, receiving Social Security, got way more than she paid in. Because Social Security is not a defined, it is not a defined contributions plan. It's a defined benefits plan. Right? Social Security tells you how much you receive, but it has nothing to do with how much you put in.
Have Social Security around. You think we got poverty in this country? We have lots of poverty. We would have mountains more poverty in this country if we didn't have Social Security or have Medicare around. And he wants the United States to go back to that period, prior to when Franklin Roosevelt came along to save us. He brought about Social Security, or even LBJ in the 1960s bringing about Medicare. He wants us to go back to the days prior to that. I got a story for Ben Shapiro when it comes to Medicare, because my great-grandfather was the only person in my family that had diabetes. He got it late in his life. And he played by the rules. He paid for insurance when other people didn't pay for insurance. When he got sick and went to the hospital, they canceled his policies. Now, to object to that for Ben Shapiro is to object to the free enterprise system, because the free enterprise system knows better than everybody else. No, they don't, Ben. No, they don't. Free enterprise is his own worst enemy.
Social Security is a pyramid scheme. It is a Ponzi scheme. We are taking out trillions of dollars in debt to fund people retiring from work who are not somehow unable to work. That was the point that I made.
Trillions are being wasted, Ben Shapiro. Giving money, giving U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund fucking neo-Nazis in the Ukraine. And it's also, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, it's also being funded to fund a military that's committing a genocide against the people of Gaza, the IDF. That's where a lot of our money's going to. It's also going to Saudi Arabia, where they were bringing on a genocide against the people of Yemen. So, but the defense contractors love things as they are. And Ben Shapiro basically is in agreement with the deep state. He's in agreement with the military-industrial complex. He's in agreement with the neoconservatives that runs a lot of these foundations and everything. The mindset that comes from Fox, and there's no such a thing as an anti-war right. I want to make that clear. Yeah, there are some libertarians and some scattered around paleoconservatives who are opposed to war, but there is not a newfound anti-war right like people claim, because where a lot of them were kind of correct on the Ukraine. A lot of them also want war with China over Taiwan. And Ben Shapiro is on the wrong side on all these issues. He favors backing the NATO forces in the Ukraine. He supports the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. He's okay and cool with Saudi Arabia committing a genocide against the people of Yemen. And he's totally cool with the United States having an altercation with China over Taiwan. And that's what it comes down to. So all these stupid ass kids that follow Ben Shapiro around, and Ben Shapiro, as much as I hate Ted Cruz, the beard works for Ted Cruz. The beard does not. Ben, you are a pussy. You're trying to act like you're some kind of alpha male. Just be yourself. We might even respect you a little bit more. Low bar, but anyway.
I'm making is that many of the people that we are paying not to work right now who are 65 years old, yes, they paid into the system, but that is because the system should not have taken their money in the first place. You should not have your money taken away from you by the federal government and then spent somewhere else. And then later, somebody else has to fill you in. You should be able to keep your own money. That's how you plan for retirement.
It wasn't working around prior to Social Security, Ben Shapiro. Not at all. And again, everyone should have a basic income when they retire. And they shouldn't have to work till they're fucking 87 years old like you want them to. But it's easy for you because you're a podcaster. With your smooth hands, you can sit there and pluck on that keyboard. It's too bad you can't get your wife wet. You know, we know about that. Apparently, you didn't know about that, but we know about that. You kind of admitted that a few years ago. So, and for people to go and listen to advice on sexuality issues from this guy, he can't even get his wife wet.
And in fact, even the name Social Security is a euphemism because originally what Social Security was an old age pension. That's what it was. And in fact, if you look at the history of Social Security, what you see, the history of retirement and Social Security, one of the things that you see is that it was an attempt to get older workers off the payrolls to make room for younger workers. The first kind of full Social Security scheme was put in place by Otto von Bismarck in Germany, and was a way of clearing the older payrolls of older workers because they weren't as effective. And in fact, older workers fought it. But in any case,
wait a minute. If older workers weren't affected and you got more efficient people that could do the work, I thought your capitalist ass would be for this, Ben Shapiro. I thought it would be you'd be for this, but you're basically just contradicting yourself right there. And what Otto von Bismarck, Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, did in the late 1800s in Germany, bringing about the welfare state, bringing about old age pension, that Germany was the very first country in the world in 1881 to have a national health insurance system. And of course, we know why he did these things, because Otto von Bismarck was scared of one of the first socialist parties in the world that was created in Germany, called the Social Democratic Party. Now, they're relatively centrist today. I grant you that. But in the 1800s, they were a force to be reckoned with. They were people to be that people felt like, oh my God, the Social Democrats, what are they going to do if they take over Germany? So, and in the 19th century, they were actually scared of the Social Democrats, and to keep them from getting any real access to power, Otto von Bismarck came up with the idea of creating a welfare state to keep workers happy and to keep these wild Marxian ideas of socialism and a society based on justice, away from their mindset. I don't care if that was the result. It made Otto von Bismarck do basically the right thing for the wrong reasons. No, he's base, and he was a right winger, center right, of course. Ben Shapiro, Otto von Bismarck was up the center right. What does it tell you when a center right person in the 19th century is to your left? What does it tell you?
When you look in America at the history of old age pensions, what you see is that in 1862, when the life expectancy was 39, there were some pensions that you could apply for if you were a Civil War veteran or if you were disabled. which again makes some sense talking about people who are physically disabled. In 1890, when the life expectancy was 44, the law was amended to include disabled Civil War veterans who were disabled for any reason. In 1906, life expectancy 50, the law was amended to include old age. Now, why am I using life expectancy statistics? I'll get into that in a moment because I've seen some community notes talking about the fact that if you make it to 50 or 60 and you're living in 1906, you're likely to live till 75 or 79 or whatever. That's the wrong statistic, and I'll explain why in a second. The Social Security Act was signed into law by FDR in 1935. Again, life expectancy at that time was 60, and it kicked in Social Security at 65. Okay? It created a federal safety net for the elderly, unemployed, disadvantaged Americans because of the Great Depression. And again, the main stipulation was to pay financial benefits to retirees over the age of 65 based on lifetime payroll tax contributions. But of course, the original contributions had never occurred. So the earliest Social Security recipients were not actually getting out what they'd paid in because there was no Social Security tax. We'll get to more on this in just one moment. First, using the internet without ExpressVPN. Well, it's like forgetting to mute yourself on a Zoom meeting and having everyone hear your side conversation with your coworker.
Don't
Not
buy
that that's ever
anything
happened to me,
that
but
he will go
you know,
and
it's
advertise.
bad. Well, internet service providers track every single website you visit, which is also bad. They sell that information to ad companies and tech giants and then use it to target you with their ad program. ExpressVPN reroutes your network data through a secure encrypted tunnel so your internet provider can't see or sell your online activity. It sounds complicated, but ExpressVPN is actually really easy to use.
Don't fire up.
Just fire up that app, click one button. One subscription.
Okay. I made sure he shut up there. But basically, you know, he's sitting there.
One subscription works on all your devices like phones, laptops, even routers. So everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can be protected as well. Here at Daily Wire, we're proud to have ExpressVPN as our top privacy partner because we believe everyone should be able to protect themselves from big tech's prying eyes. Protect your online privacy by visiting expressvpn.com/Ben today. That's expressvpn.com/Ben. Get an extra 3 months for free. That's expressvpn.com/Ben. That's the service I use. You should do the same. expressvpn.com/Ben to get an extra 3 months for free. Now, let's get to where we are with Social Security now. The Social Security Trust Fund, which doesn't really exist. Again, all that money was paid out before. It's based on new taxes. That Social Security Trust Fund is set to empty in 2037, at which point taxes will be enough to pay for only 76% of scheduled benefits.
Rush Limbaugh said that the Social Security was going to go bankrupt and Medicare was going to go bankrupt around 2002. It's still around. People like you keep on giving these magical years when it's all of a sudden it's going to not be around any longer. Social Security is fairly solvent for this reason. And I hate to put it in these terms, but you have a lot of people, unfortunately, in my age group and younger even, who don't take full care of themselves. Now, there's a lot of younger people that do take care of themselves, but there's a sizable number of the population that don't. A lot of people there will be a lot of people dying before they're able to get to Social Security. And contrary to what people have said about Social Security with regard to immigrants, they're paying into it. They're not getting that access. So there is actually a pool of people paying into Social Security that's not going to get access to it. And that is the absolute truth. So Social Security, as long as the politicians do not try to politicize it like this goon here, Social Security could last almost forever. So we'll let him continue.
At which time all the benefits are going to get slashed. Why is that happening? The answer is demographics. In 1960, approximately 5 workers covered the benefits of one retiree. So 5 workers paying into the system, that covered the benefits of one retiree. Today, 2.
No, not true. I just explained it. We have immigrants who are paying into Social Security that they're not going to have access to it. That's partly right there. That's part of the reason why. The very people you want demonized. This is probably one of the reasons why you hate those immigrants, Ben.
2 workers cover the benefits of 1 retiree. That is unsustainable. Our demographic pyramid is upside down in the United States. We have too many old people, and we don't have enough young workers, which means that the Ponzi scheme is collapsing. According to the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, quote, the declining ratio of workers to beneficiaries creates financial difficulties for Social Security. In 1960, the Social Security program had revenues of $12 billion and outlays just shy of $12 billion. By 2021, the smaller ratio led to outlays of $1.1 trillion, exceeding revenues of a little under $1.1 trillion. And that gap is going to continue to grow. By 2034, the last year before the funds are expected to become depleted, the Social Security's trustees expect that costs will exceed income by $437 billion. And when those trust funds are depleted, benefits will then be limited by the income assigned to the program. And absent changes to the law, benefits.
What's going to happen are people like yourself going to be supporting people of your ideological mindset in Congress that wants to go and feed this bullshit to people, acting like we got to go and solve Social Security by limiting it, raising the retirement age, or limiting the benefits. And this is what the right wing wants in this country. They don't want to keep Social Security as it is. And I have a belief that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Ben Shapiro believes in taking what's not broke and fixing it in his image.
This will be reduced by 20%. So again, why is this happening? 2 demographic factors. 1, people did not have enough kids. You can support this pyramid scheme so long as there are enough young people who are there to work to support the elderly, as filtered.
Even if people were having kids in America like they used to, you would still be opposed to Social Security. You would still be opposed to it. So that doesn't, your words run empty.
Through government programs. But there aren't. People are having fewer babies. 2, people are, in fact, living longer. Around 1960, that was the end of the baby boom. The average number of children born to a woman was 3.6. Today, that number is 1.6, which is not replacement level. In 1960, if you reached 65, if you reached retirement age, you're expected to live to about 80. Today, you're expected to live to about 85. Again, according to Cato Institute, the cost of Social Security to the American taxpayer, excluding disability.
Oh, Ben, fuck the Cato Institute, by the way. Fuck the Cato Institute. Fuck the Heritage Foundation. You know, just fuck these right-wing think tanks that comes up with these formulas and these statistics that's of your liking. Fuck them. And fuck you for wanting to sit there and subjecting the elderly into misery.
In 2022 was over $1 trillion. By 2033, that's going to be $2 trillion a year, well over $2.1 trillion a year. In that year, borrowing authority for Social Security is exhausted under law. So unless Congress acts, benefits get slashed 23%.
Let's go and slash some programs like the military. Slash it by 50%. At the very, very modest beginning, at 50%. Let's also close some of these bases around the world that's basically funneling money away. Let's also not get involved in the affairs of everybody else around the world. Let's mind our own business, Ben Shapiro. And even if you don't want to use the money to spend on the basic safety net, if you want to go and use it to go and pay off the national debt, I'd rather you be fiscally conservative than to go and bomb another country, drone strike another country, or use the military to exterminate a whole population. You monster. Come on.
As far as the generalized debt problems with Social Security, Medicare and Social Security are now responsible for 95% of all long-term American unfunded obligations. When you hear people say that it's the Defense Department that's bankrupting the country, that is wrong. It is Medicare and Social Security.
No, it isn't. It is the military that's bankrupting us. Now, I mean, they did an audit in the Pentagon, and there were trillions of dollars that there had never been accounted for. And this was prior to the war on terror in 2001.
Security is already responsible for about 11% of the entire 2023 deficit. And according to the Social Security and Medicare Board of Trustees, this is them, the people, right? These are the people who run the thing. According to them, Medicare and Social Security, their unfunded obligations, which is about the 75-year unfunded obligation, meaning it's not funded by any of the law today, exceeds $78 trillion. $78 trillion, which is 3 times all the goods and services produced in the United States last year. So in other words, this ballooning Social Security program is bankrupt. It is. It's just a question of when the bankruptcy becomes evident to everyone. So that is where we are. Okay, so
I don't believe what you just said.
Argument number 1, which is that we have to change Social Security because it's ridiculous that people are retiring at the age of 65 and then receiving benefits for legitimately 20.
What's ridiculous is people are not retiring at 55, Ben Shapiro. And I hope that you hear this so you can have blood pressure go up. You could have your blood pressure go up. It should be 55 years old for Social Security. People should get their first Social Security check at 55.
20 years, and that's going to bankrupt the country, and it's already bankrupting the taxpayer. That's obviously true. Everyone knows it. Democrats know it. Republicans know it. They just lie to you. So people are like, well, why don't politicians say this? Because they'll lose. Because they know that you don't want to hear it. Because there was somebody who tweeted at me yesterday about all of this, and he suggested, well, I paid for my parents, and now it's my children's friends' turn to pay. It's like, that's not the way that society is supposed to work. I don't want my children to pay for me. My goal is to be able to invest enough so that I can cover my children, not the other way around. And by the way, it is worth noting at this point that it will not be our children paying for us. It will be debt paying for us or immigrants paying for us as we retire. Okay, so then
that's why I said immigrants are paying into a system that you oppose. Of course, you don't want the immigrants here either. I get it, but as far as I'm concerned, you don't want this Social Security to be around. I tell you what, why don't you go and volunteer your Social Security? You tell the government you don't want to be paid Social Security, and I bet you'll be a liar. And you'll be a liar if you said, "Oh, that's fine." No, you will be taking that Social Security check because you are a liar and not even that good of one. I would articulate my point better, but I haven't had a lot of sleep today. But suffice to say.
Then we get to the second argument, and this is the one that apparently set people off really a lot. And the second argument that I make is that I think that retirement generally, for a lot of people, is stupid. Okay, here's what I mean by that. So I don't mean that you retiring from a job that's backbreaking labor is stupid. That's your personal decision.
You want Social Security not to be around. You want Medicare to not be around. Well, if your back is broken and your feet are given out from all this harsh labor, the average person is not in a position to they can save and have the money there for them and everything. Some people can, but there's a thing called life. You got to go and put gas in your car. You got to go and eat. You got to feed your family. You got to go and buy a house or rent an apartment. It's called life, Ben. And so it's not as easy as saving and all that. And those who can, I'm grateful. I'm glad they can do it. But it's something that not everybody can do. I don't have kids. Never had kids. Don't particularly want them to have kids in my life. For those that likes parenthood, that's fine with them, But the thing about it is, I got a lot of expenses myself. I got to go and pay for, because I got laid off from my union job. And you oppose unions, Ben. My health insurance, I'm paying more for my health insurance and getting less. Of course, you don't have a problem with that because you believe that the free market is the way to do healthcare. And it isn't. We need universal healthcare, and we need to protect the existing entitlements we have.
The argument that I'm making is sort of twofold. One, that the government has no actual obligation to fund your retirement if it allows you to keep your money in the first place. If it stole your money, then I understand. People who had their money stolen by the government, they want their money back. I get it totally. Then there's the question of what retirement actually constitutes. There seems to be this idea about that retirement is natural, that you hit 65 and you go like sit on a beach somewhere for the next 20 years of your life.
Sounds like a great idea.
And whether that is publicly funded or privately funded, the point that I was making yesterday is that I do not think that as a general rule, it is good for people to consider themselves retired from the world. I don't think that it's good. Retirement, particularly in the post-familial, post-church age, harms mental health. It robs people.
No, it doesn't.
Of purpose. Again, I'm not saying that you can't retire if you want to. If you have the money to do so, go for it if you want to. And I'm also not saying you should be forced not to retire if you can afford to retire. I'm making the case that actually early retirement by the data tends to harm your health, that working longer tends to be good for you.
As far as work is concerned, you don't know what it's like to work hard, Ben. You're a human-sized pussy. And you don't know, your delicate little hands can just tap on a keyboard. And you're growing that beard, trying to pretend to be alpha. You're not. You're a weenie. You're a weenie. You're a little wimp. You're just a little pipsqueak. You know, if I know you have a couple of little kids and all that, but if you didn't, there would be a big old V on you so quick, because you are the poster child of somebody who's never gotten any. But I believe you gotten some. But when you did, you weren't able to get your wife wet. She wasn't enjoying the sex with you, even though she had those kids. But you know what? One day she'll leave your ass, and some guy will treat her right in that sort of way, because you're not capable of doing that. Because you know, you're not really a man, Ben.
That is the argument that I'm making. Again, not that you should be forced to work if you don't want to, and you can afford to do it, or your family will take care of you. The argument that I was making is that when you are 65 years old, if you retire, if you make that decision to retire, that's a decision that you should take really seriously. And this bizarre idea that the best thing you can do, so much that the government should sponsor it, is retire. And when I say retire, I don't mean get an alternative job. Okay, you're not retired. If you quit your job at 65, or you are forcibly retired by your company at 65, and then you take Social Security, and then you have another job, which is what a lot of people do, you're not retired. You're retired from.
You are retired, but you're retired on your own terms. Because there are people that don't mind working. And I'm not going to beat up on somebody who says, hey, I got it in me to work till I'm 75 years old or 80 years old, if that is what you want to do. Most people don't. Most people want to, as soon as retirement age sets around, they want to start drawing their retirement. I have less than 7 years to go. I have less than 7 years to go before I retire. In the year 2031, I will be 62 years old. I will be getting my Social Security by then. At 59 and a half, that's 4.5 years from now, I'll be able to start drawing my full pension. And I will have my pension. And I will have my, from my union job, the thing that you don't want people like me having. I got 20 years of work for that company, and I will have a fairly generous pension because our pension fund's in great shape. And I will have Social Security, and I will be making more when I retire than I am right now while I'm working. And I know people like you hate that. You hate that. That's I want that for everybody. I want everybody to have a pension and Social Security, and for people to retire as early as they can, because the body gives out. You're acting like the life expectancy may go up and up and up, but you know what? Here's the thing. If I retire at 67 and get my Social Security, not at 65, but 67 is when you get your full Social Security. If I wait till I'm 67, and you probably think it ought to be 80, do you know how much a body can wear out between the age of 62 and 67, let alone between 67 and some age like 80? Body can wear us out. I want to go and tour all 50 states and every U.S. territory when I retire. I want to go and visit Europe on a regular basis. There are places I want to visit. I like to visit, there's several countries I would like to visit. And I hope that that's going to happen one of these days. And retirement is a great way to do this. It gives me a lot of options. And let me tell you about retirement. When you retire, you save on fuel for your gas, gas for your car, you save on fuel. Your eating expenses will be cheaper, even though you probably be able to eat more what you want, because you don't have to travel to a workplace to a job you hate. There's a lot of good things that happen when people retire. You want to take that away from them. My parents retired in 1995. They retired before they were able to get Social Security. And the thing about it is, Ben, you probably hate the fact that they got Social Security and they got a pension, but they did. They able to live a good life, a quality life, and they're in better shape than I am. And you want to take that away from people.
From that job, you're not a retired person. Okay, the effects of the retirement I'm talking about is you retire from your job and all jobs, and you live on your pension or your Social Security. That tends not to be good for people in terms of health. According to the BBC, quote, research from the Institute of Economic Affairs suggests that while retirement may initially benefit health by reducing stress and creating time for other activities, adverse effects increase the longer retirement goes on. In fact,
Ben, it's called getting old. Do you think that somebody working till they're 87 years old, that's going to enhance their lives? No, it's not going to, unless they're have massive good fortunes to work behind a cushy desk job like you. But you don't understand that, or you can't empathize with that, because you were born with a silver spoon up your ass. You don't know, you can't even relate to what it's like to be the average person, Ben. And that's the sad part about it. I would do more to talk about this video, but this is the gist of what he says. And the reason I played this video is to show to everyone. I know I'm kind of preaching to the converted, but somebody who may be a fence setter watching this video to realize that this is what Ben Shapiro is all about. He's not for the average man and woman. He has such a smug, elitist attitude toward us. And for him to have a fan base is beyond. I'm just lost for words. I really am. Anyway, the video is called "Uh-oh, I Said Something Unsayable." I will comment more, but I actually need to take a nap fairly soon. But I just want to get that out of my chest. I just am irritated with people like him. So anyway, I had extra lighting that I bought today, and so I'm trying to experiment with the lighting to make myself more presentable. So if you probably notice, everything's a little more different than usual. That would explain that. So anyway, let's see what we have here. Let me check on the chat line, and we'll talk to everyone. And then I'm going to take a nap. I am extremely tired today. This video is probably a little more unprofessional than usual. I was thinking about talking about this just sort of off the cuff. So you caught me off the cuff. So anyway, Catherine Ann McCloskey Ross, how are you doing? Unfortunately, I can't read Irish. I can't read Gaelic. I'm so sorry about that. But happy St. Patrick's Day, and I think that might be what it stands for. So let's see here. We have Jimmy. Jimmy, how are you doing today? Enjoy the secret show. I was listening to you and Warren last night, but I was at work, as you know, and everything. So looking forward to our show on Tuesday. Let's see. That reminds me, folks. If you can go on to Bragland's website, Bragland's YouTube channel, please. Go ahead and subscribe to us over there on YouTube. Subscribe to Braglands on Twitch as well, and follow us on Twitter. So let's see who we have here. Wet ass P word says, "I'm a sociopath. The poor should pay more taxes." They already do. Let's see. Okay, somebody's being a troll. Netanyahu should be our president. Okay, whoever you are, that's funny. That's funny. But no, we don't need no Netanyahu is in the White House. Let's see. End war is fun. Human needs. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right. I'm just scrolling through here and making sure everybody. Oh, Kim, how are you doing today? Let's see. The idiot will like all SSI, Social Security payment to be sent to Israel. Pretty much. And you know what's so sad? As bad as the Palestinians have it in Israel, especially in the Gaza right now, and there's a lot to be criticized with the Netanyahu government. The fact is, some of the things that Ben Shapiro hate economically, he would never want to see here is in existence in Israel, such as the universal healthcare system and free college and things of that nature. They do have that going for them. It'd just be nice if the Palestinians could have that free healthcare and that free college and the welfare state. But I digress. The Grape Benzine says this guy's a traitor to America. He wants us to work to death so Israel can have health care for all and the good shit we need. Well, I don't think that Ben Shapiro supports universal health care even in Israel. I mean, I think if there's anything that Ben Shapiro hates about Israel, it would be things like the welfare state and all that. Zionists are hurting us too, along with the Middle Eastern people. Yeah, as I said, I think that Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro would love to see. He wants to see all countries be as stupid as the United States when it comes to, screwing over the poor and middle class and the vulnerable. So, anyway, I am going to go ahead and take a nap. So I just wanted to do this video real quick. I'm going to do another video. I have it scheduled at 9, but I think I'm going to wait till midnight or 12:05, shall I say. So I'll be changing the schedule of that, my next video, because I am in dire need of a nap. I have been awake since 6 o'clock yesterday evening. So if that tells you anything. I would like to say that if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any ways you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content that I have here on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. To remember to subscribe to this channel here, The Willie Bragg Show, and follow me on Twitch and Twitter and I'm creating a new Facebook page because I've been shadow banned there, and I'll let everybody know about that, even though Facebook is so 2010. Also remember to reject corporate media. And to free Palestine, free Julian Assange, free healthcare for all, and of course, free speech absolutism. Free speech, that is. Take care. I'll try to do better next time. Bye-bye.